Well. What is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. So, welcome all, everyone, to join in with me for the first live stream of 22. And you may see some things that are totally new to your screens. All of this stuff right next to me on the screen, all of this, I've been working hard to make it as decent as possible with the usage of the images, of the logos, and through my banner at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom right corner. And I've been using OBS, so I've just, well, I say downloaded, well, not downloaded, I would say just received a new update of the new OBS software to try this out. So this is going to be, as always, a chill live stream, and I'm very much looking forward to see how this is going to turn out. And I am looking forward to see what is going to happen for the audio and picture quality. Let me know, by the way, guys, if you are tuning in just now, if it's all good, both quality and audio, because I need to be let known about this. So yeah, I see Ryan, how's it going, mate, and Motley, Pecky Peck. Hope both of you are doing very well where you're at. So I know at the moment, outside of what I love to talk about, which is music as always, nothing different, outside of what I do is being absolutely mental, especially in the news. But let's try not to think about that. So let's move into things that we do love to talk about. And, you know, let's hope this stream will go very well. Be mindful and wise. Thank you so much for popping in. As always, I hope you are doing very well, buddy. Hope all is going good for you. Yes, it has been. I did see your change of your channel picture icon to Opeth's Still Life. Very good choice. So yeah, how are things where you're at? Is everything going strong and very well for yourselves mentally and physically? For me personally, I want to say this in a personal level. From the beginning of this year to now, into the duration of 22 at the moment, I've been at my absolute best, mentally, physically, productively, and the positive mental attitude has been back for the first time since, like, I would say a year. And I have just stood to what I want to believe in and have a lot of faith in myself, that you know, there's so much positivity that I want to let out, and it feels so refreshing now that I've been totally away from my difficulty emotionally, from what I've expressed about 21. I don't want to look back at it, but I've been at my best in a very long while, and I'm so happy that I have fought through the difficulty that I did have, because it was something that I did not experience at all, but it did happen outside of YouTube, and things did take a very dark toll on me. But now that I've been back to be who I am, being very busy with my band, making music, recording music, and I'm going to be very busy. I'm going to be gigging so much, as that I have got more than 30 gigs booked for me and my band to do. We have a lot of plans to do, a lot of productivity, and that's what I absolutely love to do, just to keep things going. Shizazzle! Sorry that I'm looking down. I'm just looking at the live stream on my mobile. Shizazzle, hope you are doing great, mate. Did you rearrange your room? No, I didn't. The reason why those shelves, well, you see a bit of those shelves in my room, because we are going through quite a lot of stuff going on in the house by adding in some new stuff involving new paint jobs. So it's not a clear out, but it's just to move stuff around the house so that things will have to be done. Guitar Storms, how's it going, mate? You're doing well too. Just starting a night shift, so popping in, keep up the great videos and stay positive, buddy. You too, Guitar Storms. And you may see these two links, well, not links as you click on the stream, but they're just images. So this is my Twitch account of the same name, and that is my Instagram. You are more than welcome to follow me on Twitch, but I don't stream with a schedule. I've been streaming quite a lot on Twitch lately, excuse me, and I apologize that I did not let any of you guys know that I've been streaming on there very much more actively on YouTube, on Twitch than YouTube, excuse me. And also, I've been posting a bit more on my Instagram, GB Music Buff, as I've mentioned about Instagram a few times through previous streams. So, if you guys want to check me out on other platforms of social media, then go right ahead. By the way, I do not use TikTok. I hate TikTok. I will never ever create one. I know a lot of people rave about it, but I just don't get the hype about it. I know it's creative for what the effects that people use are in their videos and sorts, but I just really don't like it. Not a big fan of President Biden. Please do not say anything to do with politics, because this is not a politics involving stream. So this is all about the purpose of my identity on YouTube, live streaming, making videos to do with music, all on music, for those of you that do know me very, very well. So I don't want to hear anything to do with very divided and negative attention about the presidents or what's been going on, because if you are those types of people, you have your own views and we appreciate that, but please don't make this go off topic, because the purpose of this stream is a music Q&A and a hangout. So if any of you guys have anything to say, then by all means go for it. Looking at other comments, I did not forget these whilst I'm talking to you guys. Be mindful and wise. I'm glad you've been having positive mental attitude lately. I've had that lately as well. That is amazing to hear. Very glad to read that. Have you listened to Saxon's new album? I have not, actually. I've just did listen to Unleash the Beast. I did know that Pair of Jeans Reviews has done an album review on Saxon's new album. I did see it at HMV when I went to town last time, and it was just a couple of days ago. I've been buying quite a lot of albums on CD again, although a lot of metal album purchases on Discogs because of one band, and I will not reveal the band until I'll be doing my update video. RJCJ Rock. My dad and I are making a CD next month. That is awesome. And chat, please send RJCJ Rock the best regards. If this is going to be your first time project of making something like that, then I wish you the best. It must be absolutely amazing. And even if it's just self-made, self-released, that is still productivity at the highest regard in my eyes. Yeah, I hope I never make one either. Ryan was listening to Disturbed's The Sickness just now. That's cool. you know, I used to like Disturbed, but I'm not really a fan of Disturbed that much anymore. They just fizzled out with me. I gave up on the band after Immortalized. Unleash the Beast is my favourite album of all time. Yes, I do know that, RJCJ, because I did see your comments from a community section post that I've done on the channel. No, sorry, on the video on that review of Unleash the Beast. My bad. Sorry, Jake, I'm just looking at your comment now. I apologise. Hello, Greg. Always a pleasure seeing you going live, and just want to say, hope you've been occupied and keeping your mental health in check, and keep trucking on with banging tunes. Thank you very much, Jake. Just for those that are wondering about what I said from my personal thoughts about 21, I will say I don't suffer with mental health. I have quite a lot of friends who suffer with that. But it was a very hard time for me. But I did not go into the deeper words that did involve the, let's just say, things that I and you lot really don't want to hear. Involving, you know. So, yeah, I am very lucky that I'm not that bad into that way of thinking. Oops, shit, hang on. Hang on. Lately I've been on a big dismember kick. That's pretty cool. RJCJ Rock, what was the message you're trying to send? Okay, for fuck's sakes. This user, I won't say the name, but for fuck's sake, whoever you are disgusting. You are absolutely disgusting. So, you can fuck right off. I do not want to see any fucking username with that title. Whoever the fuck thinks that's acceptable, you are an absolute disgusting person. Fuck you. Sorry about that, guys. I know there was one asshole who disregarded Pair of Jeans reviews on my vinyl collection livestream. But let's move along, shall we? But guys, if you want to ask anything to do with music, then by all means go for it. As always, I am so open, as many of you guys are as well. So, close to 15 minutes into the stream, and let's hope that this will always be a very chilled out vibe. Hang on. I know YouTube has held your message for review, RJCJ Rock. But yeah, I agree. I won't show it, but I do know what it is. So you're not at the wrong there, man. But anyways, RJCJ Rock, what type of music are you making for your CD? Because we would love to know. We would love to know what you've been making. And like I said, we are going to wish you the best. Jake, the first person to ask me a question for the stream. How you feel about the new Slipknot album coming out when Corey stated that it'll be heavier than Volume 3? Honestly, I don't think Slipknot will ever make another album as heavy as Iowa, because the rest of the albums from Volume 3 and onwards, they have been at a big maturity type of direction. I know that We Are Not Your Kind is very dark in places. That I did think, when I did review the album, that is very Iowa-esque on some songs. But the thing is, I don't think Slipknot's new material will always top off the heaviness like on Iowa. And I am looking forward to the new Slipknot record, but I will predict, I've not said this before, until right now for the stream, I will say this. I don't think that it will be better than We Are Not Your Kind. I could be wrong, but I know that's an opinion. I'm just saying that. I know that I did say my thoughts about the Chapeltown Rag. However, the singles on We Are Not Your Kind are one of Slipknot's best singles in a long time. So much more than, personally for me, the singles from All Hope Is Gone and even The Great Chapter. But I do love some of the singles from The Great Chapter, although I am very iffy on Custer and Kill Pop, not really. But anyways, I am still anticipated because obviously Slipknot is my favourite band of all time. And let's just see what the Knot can really achieve. I've just said this now and I'll say it again one last time, guys. Not to put you in any pressure. Let me know if the audio quality is good, because this is not on my mobile. This is on the Logitech C920 HD webcam that I have been, I would say, testing out multiple clips before I would be streaming with this webcam on Twitch. But for me, when I want to do a stream of playing covers through my band's repertoire, I would use this mobile because the audio quality on the mobile is amazing. But not for webcams like this, because I don't want the audio quality to be very much uncompromising to cope with loud noise. So there you go. Grunge / punk. Those are cool genre choices, RJCJ Rock. Ryan, I've made 3 albums and I have a SoundCloud. I used to post a few things on SoundCloud, but personally I have not been very active on there because while SoundCloud was cool when I was digging it, but I just prefer to think about sharing music through a platform that I think is like acceptable enough, and when I'm ready to share what type of music that I would like to share. Well, 2 albums actually. Okay, that's cool, Ryan. Hey man, I was kind of curious on how to request an album for requested albums review segments. Shizazzle, it's very easy. I know that I've made a video on which albums you want me to request, but that was through last year. But I am open in any video on whatever type of album you want me to review for you. But yeah, very easy. Just do it like how you would type a regular usual comment on any of my videos. Are you a fan of Anderson .Paak? I'm not very familiar with that, Shizazzle. Oh yeah, and the audio and video quality is fine. Thank you, Shizazzle. Oh, the Anderson question's from Be Mindful and Wise. My bad. Ryan again. Yesterday I was listening to Slipknot's first album, and it was the most heaviest album of the 90s. It sounds heavy and scary. I say that Slipknot's sound of that album is very much, I would say, from the time and still relevant today. But I think the intensity of Iowa is really where it's at. It is a brutal sound that Slipknot did achieve. And by scary, I mean bands like Korn, especially on the first album, it's very dark in numerous places, especially with the sheer raw emotion from Jonathan Davis. Excuse me. But to think scary in an album's sakes, I guess the word scary does not need to always be used for the heaviness of music. It can be something scary in like an uncompromising way that it's so I would say challenging, like Mr. Bungle, for example, or something like that, something like Mr. Bungle. But I do get what you're saying. RJCJ Rock at Ryan, heavier than Mortician and Bolt Thrower? Oh, it's a question. But they look really, really scary. But yeah, I thought that the Slipknot debut album cover is creepy because of the background and the way they are all together. Yeah, I think that's why it's one of my favorite album covers from the band. If not my favorite, and one of my favorite metal album covers of all time. Gothic Gamer 666. Nice to see you live again. Nice to see you again, Gothic Gamer. Hope you are doing very well. Aiden, did you enjoy the new Venom Prison album Erebos? Yes, I did, Aiden. And I did an album review and reaction on that album. Please check it out if you haven't already. I saw you have it on vinyl. Do you like death metal? How are you doing? I do like some death metal, but I'm not one of those people that loves every band in the genre, because it just depends on which type of sound of the genre that I am into a lot. But Venom Prison's new album is absolutely amazing. For now, guys, I've been saying this to myself, and I'll say it here, that it could possibly be the potential for album of the year. I know we are close into March, but the more I thought about the record and buying other new albums, Venom Prison's new album always just sticks into my head. I'm doing very well, Aiden, by the way. Love grunge. Alice in Chains is my favourite grunge band. I will say this, Ryan, that I don't think Alice in Chains are always grunge. I think they are sometimes heavier than that type of sound. I mean, I would say they're heavier, obviously, than Nirvana and Pearl Jam. I mean, some of Soundgarden's riffs are pretty rocking. But with Alice in Chains' riffs, they are more down-tuned and really moody. But I do always accept that they are involved in the grunge genre. Sometimes they are like later on a bit more alternative metal style. Okay, cool, thanks. I need to think of an album. Will you review the new Sabbath next month? I have heard of that name before, Shizazzle, but I'm not very familiar with the music itself. So if I have to check it out, I'd have to dive into the earlier stuff, if it's as good as many people think. But I will be doing another album reactions. I've not been posting more videos on that segment yet. Well, I mean, as of now, because I've been taking a bit of a break. But I hope you guys are going to be making that segment as consistent as possible for me to do videos like that, because I really enjoy those types of videos. And I know it has to do with me speeding up the music, but the reason why I do this, I've explained this to RJCJ Rock, that he's asked me, why do I have to speed up the music? It's because of copyright. I'm so sick and tired of YouTube's stricter policies of copyright, and the way for me to not get copyrighted, or copyright claimed, I should rather say, is to speed the music up. That's the way and reason why I do it. This might be controversial, but I didn't think that Iowa is that heavy. I mean, it was heavy, but I don't think it's one of the heaviest albums. I think that Iowa, some people in this modern day and age will say that Iowa was heavy at that time. And I think that's the perfect way to say it. Because most cases in modern metal now, we hear very heavy shit. Especially in the heavier side of subgenres of metal. But Iowa was a very, very big, brutal album. Onto the production, the lyricism as well, and the sound of Corey's vocals, very violent, and it's like you've been strangled so aggressively, and the violence of the music is a fuck you to everything. But I do get it that some people say that Slipknot's Iowa is not like one of the heaviest for some people, but it was one of the heaviest shit at that point of modern metal. Mr. Bungle was a major influence to Slipknot. Yes, they were, or are, I should say, because Mr. Bungle is now an active band, well, since the release of The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. I absolutely do love Mr. Bungle still, and I hope Mike Patton gets better, because I know that they were doing a UK tour, but it had to be postponed. I believe it was postponed for the second time because of mental health from what Patton is going through at the moment. So I always will wish him the very best. Send Mike Patton your regards as well. Gothic Gamers 666, I would like you to do Behemoth, Cradle of Filth, Dark Funeral, and Arch Enemy album reviews. I really do like some Behemoth, Gothic Gamer. Cradle of Filth are a band that I did like when I was getting into that side of extreme metal. I'm not so familiar with Dark Funeral's music. I know they are releasing new music very soon, but I've not been discovering the material yet. Arch Enemy, I do like Arch Enemy, but they're not one of those bands that I would personally buy. Not to disregard them, obviously, but I really do appreciate what their attention is all about. But I am more confident to review albums from Behemoth, as I did review The Satanist when it came out. Cradle of Filth as well. Sedition Through Scorns. Have you ever browsed through your music collection and just stare into the luxurious album arts that made you go, wow, this is some glorious detail? You ever had that moment with CDs or vinyls? Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't? Especially on the larger side of the artwork on vinyl. Especially with artworks from Sgt. Pepper's to Wish You Were Here, Crack the Sky, and, you know, some Alcest and Rolling Stones. I mean, many, many more. There's just so many amazing artworks about that whole vibe about loving artwork as much as the music. Be Mindful and Wise and Ryan. Mr. Bungle was an influence on Korn as well. That's another true fact. I mean, Monkey and Head were big fans of the debut album, and you know that opening unorthodox, well, weird sound on Blind, the intro, that sound of guitars, that was inspired by Mr. Bungle, and that's a fact. As I've just said it, Ryan said the same thing. I agree. Aiden, Ministry was a huge influence on Slipknot, as well as Carcass and Slayer, and industrial music legends Skinny Puppy, and some classic rock even. I mean, Kiss are an influence. I mean, they've made they have a huge shitload of influences under their belts. It's not just on Corey Taylor, because I know that he's really at a huge musical taste type of way as a musician, but other musicians, the rest of Slipknot have various influences as well outside of metal. RJCJ Rock, to me, my main influences are Nirvana, Helmet, and Tang. I like a bit of Helmet, RJCJ Rock. I like some Nirvana as well, But I am going to be saying this, in my opinion, and I will be possibly making a video about a topic of bands that I think are overrated, that I either like and respect, or bands that I think are overrated that I don't like. I think that's going to be something that I would like to do. Shazazel Be Mindful and Wise, nice profile picture there, man. Gotta love still life. See, that's what I love. If you want to interact with each other, like what Shazazel's just done, then please feel free to address your comments to each other. We are a great community like this. Be Mindful and Wise and Shazazel, thanks. Still Life is my favourite Opeth album. My favourite Opeth album at the moment, Be Mindful and Wise, is Deliverance. I love that album, although Still Life is an album that I still prefer over Blackwater Park. Not to diss that album out whatsoever, because Blackwater Park is one of the essential ones for many prog fans. But I will say that Still Life to me is a stronger record. My opinion, at least. Shazazel, Be Mindful and Wise. Yeah, that's mine too. I love the Moor and Serenity Painted Death. Be Mindful and Wise. What are your thoughts on Chris Barnes' comments regarding modern death metal vocalists? He seems so out of touch, especially given how much his voice has deteriorated. To be honest with you, I don't give a shit what Chris Barnes says. And the Metal Meltdown has done a video on that controversy, and also that topic that he did was mentioned again when he when he interviewed Ash Gray from Venom Prison. And Ash's comments are absolutely on point. But to be honest with you, if I just wanted to say something about that, I just would be like, I don't give a fuck, you know. And I know that he's full of shit. I mean, vocalists like with Larissa from Venom Prison, she is a monster of a vocalist. And you cannot fault her talents otherwise, because she's one of the best vocalists in modern death metal. And I'm just saying that because I've been a fan of Venom Prison for close to a month now after Erebos, that album. But you cannot say that modern death metal vocalists are shit without giving them a chance and, you know, be as much more respectable and open-minded. So I know that he would have had the balls to say stupid shit like that, and thinking that he's the best person for vocalists. Fuck off. And it's funny because I've seen an article that I didn't read on Facebook, an article when people did see Cannibal Corpse recently. Some guy in the audience says, like, Chris Barnes sucks, or 6 Feet sucks, something like that. So, yeah, I don't have anything to personally address this type of view properly, but I just don't care about the egoism that Chris has. So, yeah. Aiden again. Dark Funeral is super old school underground Swedish black metal. I know that Dark Funeral are a very big part of the black metal scene. Do you like Children of Bodom? I'm not really a fan of Children of Bodom, although Alexei, brilliant guitar player and vocalist. I just don't get the hype about Children of Bodom. They are a very gifted, were a gifted band, especially the talents. They're not one of those bands that I would personally have in the collection, though they do have some pretty cool tunes. Be mindful and wise. Aiden is responding to your comment. Be mindful and wise. Um, loves 6 Feet Under, but there's a lot of great modern death metal bands. Venom Prison, and other bands that Aiden's mentioned. RJCJ Rock. Excuse me, hang on. Come on, trying to burp. Oh, it's been stuck in my throat. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is. Pardon me. RJCJ Rock. Sorry. Tang are an obscure punk band from Rochester. I've not heard of that band at all, actually. I'll have to check them out. My thoughts on Chris Barnes is stupid, says Aiden. Okay, RJCJ Rock adds heavy metal music. Okay, Aiden, hey dude. Ryan, my favourite Opeth album is Blackwater Park. That's cool. That's fair enough. My favourite Opeth album of all time is Blackwater Park. Been a huge fan of Blackwater Park before social media existed. I don't think that is actually correct, because social media has been a thing from the 2000s, and the internet was created in the 90s. So part of that comment is a little bit inaccurate, but that's cool. That's cool that your dad had it on CD when it first came out, Aiden. Opeth's Orchid, I quite like the emotion. The song like The Twilight Is My Robe is stunning, but the whole album is kind of faulty transition-wise. I feel like that holds the record back a bit. I know that's one of the very first few albums in their discography. I mean, they were not making a big peak of their material at that point. I do like that album. Scrolling through some more comments. Blackwater Park would be my second favourite Opeth album, but it's also the one that got me into them. That's awesome. The album, now that I've been getting into Opeth for the better, now that I've been diving into them, the album that got me into Opeth was... in terms of properly listening to their music now, the album will have to be Deliverance and then Damnation, because I've been buying a lot of their albums since the past few months, well, last year, now that I own almost every Opeth album on CD. Shazazzle again, Blackwater Park was the first Opeth album I heard, but I got into the band from Ghost of Perdition. I do have that album on CD. I've not played it yet. Gothic Gamer, do you like The Prodigy? I absolutely love The Prodigy. Music for the Jilted Generation is my favourite Prodigy album. It's a classic album in itself, as well as The Fat of the Land. That's a gem as well. But I'm more of a fan on that type of era. I don't mind the later Prodigy. You know, when they were adding in some more dubstep and shit, I do not like dubstep, but they are still, I would say, be very active into what they have been doing for their signature sound. I don't think the Prodigy will ever make another album or tour ever again after what had happened, because that was utter shock. And the Prodigy was absolutely one of the first non-metal groups that I really did love. I still love them. Be Mindful and Wise, are you a fan of Edge of Sanity? I have heard of that name. I remember looking at the artwork on one album of theirs, but I haven't really checked them out, so can't really comment on that in full detail. Children of Bodom, amazing melodic death metal. Huge fan of Children of Bodom. You don't like it because you hate melodic death metal, am I right? It's not that, Aiden. I don't dislike that genre. Melodic death metal is a genre that I do appreciate. I am a fan of early In Flames. The Jester Race is one of my favourite albums of all time. Horacle is brilliant. The original Clayman was very good, and Colony, but I don't dislike the genre. So I can't really think to myself that I don't like the genre because of one band. RJCJ Rock, Dokken or Rats? I mean, I don't mind those types of bands, but I rarely hear them. I rarely listen to them, to be brutally honest with you. I mean, they are talented bands, but I am more familiar with Rats. I think I hear them a few more times. Maybe I've heard one single of theirs through the radio, or maybe from Dokken, but I'm more familiar with Rat. Excuse me. Shizazel, Be Mindful and Wise. I love The Edge of Sanity. Crimson is probably one of the best songs ever written. Purgatory Afterglow is an amazing record, along with the Spectral Sorrows. I love that band. Be Mindful and Wise at Aiden. I'm pretty sure Greg likes In Flames. Oh yes, I'm on Amarth. Thank you. Be Mindful and Wise. I do love Amon Amarth. I did see them live. They were brilliant. And to think that Carcass supported them when I did see them, Carcass was awesome. Awesome band live. I think they are one of the best bands in the genre. I think, for me, more of a fan of Amon Amarth and old In Flames before they turned to be very, very weak. I prefer that type of sound than Children of Bodom, but Children of Bodom, don't get me wrong, I like their talents, as I've said earlier on, so I can't bash their sound. Be Mindful and Wise and Shizazel, Purgatory, Afterglow, and the Crimson albums are just masterpieces. Dan Swano is a genius. I'll have to check those out, guys. But if I forget, message me on my Instagram, Shizazel, or Be Mindful and Wise, if you have an Instagram account yourself. Aiden, Orchid is progressive blackened death metal, unlike Archigoat and Belphegor. Belphegor is way more heavier than Opeth and Archigoat. But I can't really compare those two bands with what I think of their sounds along with Opeth's, because I've heard some music from those two bands, but I am very familiar with Opeth more. Sedition Through Scorns, fun question for chat. If you were to create the ultimate tour dream lineup for a festival of disbanded or active bands across multiple genres, who would you bring? That's something cool for the chat to answer, if you're up for that, Jake. But if you want me involved, the ultimate tour dream lineup of a festival for metal bands, since that Jake is one of the biggest fans of metal and extreme brutal sides of metal, my picks will be different, but there are some bands that Jake absolutely loves. My dream festival, it's very hard. If I have to make, say, for me, maybe just a 10 band festival in a day. Disbanded or active? Yeah, disbanded or active. Black Sabbath, Sepultura, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and I would have to include Um, I would like to involve Machine Head, Metallica, Mr. Bungle, Fear Factory. That is if Burton. That would have been amazing if Burton C. Bell didn't leave the band, though. Two more. Death Clock, and one more. I mean, I would have said Slipknot or Korn, but that's so obvious. Rammstein. There you go. Random choices. I almost would have said Napalm Death, but I think Rammstein, to spice things up some more energy in like danceable and very very high energy type of feeling and movements. Shazazzle, Be Mindful and Wise. Crimson is in my top 2 favourite albums of all time, along with The Sound of Perseverance. There are some incredible moments on Crimson. I'll have to dig into those. Obviously, I know The Sound of Perseverance. Ryan, I got into Opeth through Porcupine Tree because Steven Wilson. Yeah. Steven Wilson even produced Blackwater Park, and as well as he worked with other albums. And the Deliverance and Damnation albums. Porcupine Tree is an excellent band. In Absentia is their best album. I am very aware of Porcupine Tree's attention, but I need to dive into Porcupine Tree because of the rave mad reviews on the upcoming new album this year. So I'll have to dig into that. Yes, Gothic Gamer 666. I apologise that I am not looking at your comments very quickly because I've been reading your earlier comments. RJCJ Rock, Under Lock and Key is a great album from Dokken. I'll have to check that one out. Let me know if I forget. Do you like The Cure? I really do like The Cure. They're not one of those bands that that I personally think are like an active, always listen to band for my taste, but I don't disregard them at all. I really appreciate their sound, and especially the tone and production on their albums. The Cure fucking rules. I'll show that. There you go, RJCJ Rock. The Cure fucking rules. Ryan, I love The Cure. Disintegration is a beautiful album they've done. It's also my go-to album if I'm feeling sad. That's cool. That's a good way to point something like that. Shazazzle, I've started tailing off from In Flames once I got to Clayman. Reroute to Remain was kind of hard for me to listen to. I think that Reroute to Remain was the last great In Flames album. That was the last In Flames album that I did actually buy on CD. Be Mindful and Wise, are you a fan of Blood Incantation? I have heard of the band name, but not heard of the music, unfortunately. Be Mindful and Wise, Aiden, as a response, Blood Incantation, absolutely amazing. Goodness, I have no idea. To Sedition Through Scorns through Shazazzle's reply. RJCJ Rock at Sedition Through Scorns. Saxon, Maiden, Mortician, Bolt Thrower, Dark Angel, Sabbath. That's my dream fest. Some cool choices there. Be Mindful and Wise at Aiden. They absolutely are, and they have a new album coming out tomorrow. That's cool. Aiden again. Orchid is like the Emperor. It's like Emperor with Morbid Angel with Black Sabbath. I need to play that album more because I have been listening to Deliverance on repeat, as well as getting into the other side of Opeth. My dream lineup: Emperor, Slipknot, Mayhem, Marilyn Manson, Poison, Rat, Watain, KK's Priest, Exciter. There are some solid picks there. I mean, I wouldn't lie that I would have picked Slipknot, but like I said, it would have been obvious for me. Some cool picks there. A download festival with Behemoth, Kiss, The Cure, Skinny Puppy, In Flames, Carnifex, Scorpions. I know that Scorpions are releasing a new album this year. I like a bit of the Scorpions. They're not one of those German bands that I personally would be buying, but I do appreciate their acclaim. But here's a fact for Rammstein fans: the album covers to their second album, Sehnsucht. That album cover of all 6 covers of the bandmates, they were all inspired by the Blackout album cover from the Scorpions. If you have a look at Till Lindeman's cover and look up the Blackout cover, you can see the actual album trivia. That's something that I did not know about until a few months back. Sedition through Scorns, have you thought about a video idea of what you consider albums to be a perfect 10 out of 10 or masterpiece for any music fan being introduced to metal or other genres? It'd be cool to see that. That sounds like a pretty cool idea. Unless it'll be like the obvious list of must-hear starter metal albums pack type of video. 10 out of 10 or masterpiece for any music fan. That sounds like not a bad idea. Either by myself or through a collaborative idea. RJCJ Rock, what is your least favourite metal genre? I'd say either new metal or deathcore. Deathcore, to me. I don't like that genre whatsoever. I have some friends who like that genre. No disrespect whatsoever. I really don't think the genre is all worth it to my taste of what I want to hear in metal. Blackwater Rust! How are you doing, mate? You staying safe? Looking after yourself? I know you are a very close friend to Be Mindful and Wise, and a regular viewer of the Metal Meltdown. But welcome on in, Blackwater Rust. Are you a fan of St. Vincent? She has a lot of influence from David Bowie to Kate Bush. I have heard of St. Vincent, but to hear those influences, that sounds pretty awesome. Ryan, my dream festival would look like this: Deftones, Faith No More, Higher Power, Glassjaw, Cypress Hill, and Rage Against the Machine. Awesome. Awesome choices. Be Mindful and Wise at Blackwater Rust. Okay, I see some more replies on deathcore being the least favourite metal genre. Sorry, a nice profile pic. 1914 is an amazing band. RJCJ Rock, I hate deathcore. It's too emo for me. I don't dislike it because it's too emo. I mean, emo, the genre, I don't like. But I think deathcore being my least favourite is just because that it is way too predictable and very lazy with how alike everything just sounds. And I know that Immure are a very common band for that type of genre. Don't get me started on Immure. If you like Immure, that's totally cool. Gothic Gamer, have you ever been to the Bloodstock open air festival in your birthday? No, I have not. I would have loved to go to a major big festival like Bloodstock or Download or Reading, but here's the thing. I would not want to sleep inside a tent and to be around with many people who would be drunk, vomiting, shitting, and farting around. Because I know a festival has thousands of people, but not everybody has the absolute cleanest of hygiene. So, yeah, but I would love to go to a big festival. Depending on the weather as well, and who would be like, to me, the perfect selection of bands. Blackwater Rust, least favorite, deathcore. Shizazzle, my least favorite metal genres are metalcore and new metal. New metal is a bit too white. Excuse me, I don't understand by that, Shizazzle. I don't get that by that comment. A metalcore would be good if I were 12. I really do like metalcore, but again, I'm not one of those people that likes to listen to a lot of the same stuff in a genre, and metalcore being one of them. I like the genre. I mean, I own some Trivium, a bit of Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, but I'm not a big metalhead to love a lot of metalcore. Aiden, have you ever been to Bloodstock? No, I haven't, as I've said just now that I haven't been to a major big festival. Hopefully, not yet anyway. RJCJ Rock at Shizazzle 100%. Ryan, new metal is my favourite genre of all time. It's so good. That's awesome to hear. Fair play to you. I'm just looking through a lot of the comments. RJCJ Rock at Ryan, I respect your opinion, but new metal is too homeboy for me. No worries. I mean, not every metalhead has to love every genre of metal. That's too biased. That's too impossible. RJCJ Rock and Ryan, thanks. I prefer new wave of British heavy metal, thrash metal and death metal. Solid picks. I wonder what types of bands there are, RJCJ Rock. I bet it'll be a lot of the obvious greats. Whoa, more comments. Be mindful and wise. I think we can all agree that Blood on the Dance Floor was the worst musical act to ever exist. Are they still a thing? Are they still remotely a piece of what musical art that some people think that they are art? I just heard sorry, Suffocation is in the works for making a new album. Awesome. I'm stoked, but also sad it's the first to not feature Frank Mullen. I know. Frank Mullen's voice in Suffocation's music always is a big standout tone for the sound of Suffocation, even on the earlier albums. But I wish the band the best. Ryan, thrash metal is awesome. Love Metallica and Slayer, both bands are great. Shizazzle, new metal for me is a bit too edgy feeling. I do get the feeling, Shizazzle, that new metal is a genre that some people say that it's totally not aged very well, especially into the direction of newer bands in the genre, trying to be much more, or I should say, as relevant as bands like Korn, Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, and whatever have you got. But yeah, new metal into this direction now is at a bit of a weaker state. Shizazzle, yeah, for favorite types of metal, I'm going to go with death metal, melodic death metal, thrash and heavy metal. Melodic melodic black metal can also be pretty good too. anything melodic is up my alley. I do like to listen to a lot of metal into the variety side. Like, I've been listening to quite a lot of Strapping Young Lad lately. Some more Napalm Death, especially on the later albums. And also with a bit of Fear Factory, Rammstein. That's what I love about variety in metal music. RJCJ Rock, new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, Saxon, Maiden, Priest, and Angel Witch. Angel Witch, very underrated band there. Thrash, Sodom, Dark Angel, and Forbidden. For death metal, Mortician, Bolt Thrower, and Morbid Angel. I think Morbid Angel are one of the best bands in the genre. Bolt Thrower are excellent. Frank's Blackwater Rust says, Frank's vocals are so special, especially they are, involving just like the first, like the classic lineup of Suffocation, like on Effigy of the Forgotten. Be Mindful and Wise again. I miss Frank Mullen as a vocalist for Suffocation. He was such a beast. Absolutely. Napalm Death rules. One of my top 10 metal bands of all time. Gothic Gamer, I was about to read your comments, but I want to see what you're saying. Fear Factory's Demanufacture is such a classic album. I am going to be reviewing Fear Factory's discography, just because that I've made a poll on which band you want me to continue to do a discography review of, and with Fear Factory being the least voted, does not mean that I'm going to miss that band out. And Mastodon still being the highest and have always been the highest voted band from that poll that I did a few months back, I am going to be reviewing Crack the Sky. I'm going to be reviewing Crack the Sky, but with a special guest. I'm not telling you who it is. It will be planned, but you will see. With Demanufacture, I do love that album. It still sounds bold and fresh and amazing to this day. Sedition Through Scorns, I got emotional when I met Frank Mullen in 2018. I got to hang out with him for 10 minutes when he did his final run for the tour, and told him he was one of my favourites in the game. That is brilliant, to be so dedicated and be passionate for who you love, and doing that thing to actual musicians in person. Actual musicians, that's better, that's a better word of phrase. It's just brilliant that you decide to do that, and anybody should do that, because they truly care about dedication and admiration of comments. Shizazzle, apparently Frank Mullen couldn't tell the difference between his vocals and the new vocalists, or at least I think that's true. When the new album from them will be out, I bet it'll be a difference, because I say that Frank Mullen's voice was really distinctive. If I'm lagging a bit, guys, if I am, I apologise. I'm looking at my screen, I'm looking at my OBS. I know you're not seeing this at your end, but I'm looking at it. Hopefully it's still running very smoothly. I'm practicing my death metal impressions. No worries, Gothic Gamer. RJCJ Rock. I like some prog rock like Rush and Jethro Tull. Brilliant bands. Although I am a bit indifferent to check out the new Jethro Tull album. Speaking of Rush, I've been buying a few more albums from them lately. But prog metal bores the hell out of me. Prog metal is one of my favourite genres of metal. I mean, Mastodon, Dream Theater, later Death albums, Porcupine Tree. That is a pretty ballsy move to say that, but I appreciate it. Be Mindful and Wise, what are your thoughts on Avenged Sevenfold? They were a band that I did like, but they were really not one of those that I would personally buy. And I do respect the acclaim, but I think they are one of the other overrated bands. But I do know that they are cool guys. I mean, I used to see a lot of their music videos when I was getting into metal. Excuse me, but they were not a bad band. But I just don't get the acclaim of them. Shizazzle, add Be Mindful and Wise. I actually used to listen to some of their stuff when I was 12. What was Be Mindful's comment? Fear Factory, okay, I guess. Could be right. Blackwater Rust, Obsolete is probably my favourite Fear Factory record. Same here. Fear Factory's Obsolete is their masterpiece to me. Gothic Gamer 666, I'm so sorry I deleted it because I didn't mean the questioning comments. You don't need to apologise. You can say anything, like the rest of us here in the stream. Aiden, my favourite types of metal: extreme metal, early Sepultura, early Slipknot, Creator. There's a lot of earlies. Dimmu Borgir, Burzum, Rotting Christ, Venom, Morbid Angel, Disaster, Ragnarok, Whitechapel, and Behemoth. Solid picks. There are some of those bands that I am a fan of as well, though I'm not really familiar with Disaster or Ragnarok. Blackwater Rust, Avenged Sevenfold, insanely talented but not very good songwriters. I do think they have a craft of songwriting, but it's just the sounds that just don't really attach me all that much. Aiden again, Decapitated, Fear Factory, love Fear Factory. Again, another one of my top 10 metal bands of all time. Haven't been any issues on this stream, on this end stream wise. Thank you, Shizazzle. RJCJ Rock, I think Dream Theater sounds like video game music. That's Dragon Force. I'm sorry, but that is the perfect band to describe video game music. But I don't dislike Dragon Force. They have their own path of way of writing that I appreciate the people loving them. But video game music, Dream Theater is very adventurous, and I sometimes do love the band for that. They are one of my favourite prog metal bands. It's really cool that you do respect them, and that you don't get the appeal. No worries. No offense to them, but I just don't get it. Be Mindful and Wise, what are your thoughts on Halloween? I'm not really a power metal person. I just think that power metal is another overrated genre. Not one of those genres that I hate, but again, it's pedestrian and predictable to me. But I don't mind a bit of Halloween. Blackwater Rust, not the biggest prog metal fan anymore, but Mastodon, Opeth, Enslaved, Between the Buried and Me, Cynic are still great. I am still a huge fan of Mastodon, and I do love a bit of Opeth. Between the Buried and Me, they were a band that I actually got into very much too late, because I actually listened to Colours just last year in preparation to hear Colours 2. Be Mindful and Wise at Blackwater Rust, all great choices there. Are you a fan of Voivod? Be Mindful and Wise. I do know that they've released a new album, Synchro Anarchy, and Free to Be Who I Be has done an album review on it. I am going to buy it because I am pretty much intrigued with what I have been hearing from his reaction videos. Blackwater Rust at Be Mindful and Wise. Also, you chose the best Opeth album cover for the PFP. Ryan, I really like Carnival. Carnival is an excellent prog metal band, and I like their second album, Sound Awake. It's a really cool album. Other prog metal bands I do like are Porcupine Tree and Tool. Guess who's going to be seeing Tool in May for the very first time? Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Because I've been diving into Tool quite a lot, and Lateralis is one of my favourite albums of all time. But I have heard of Carnival, and the guys from Tosca are big fans of Carnival as well. Shizazel, I was in a huge Mastodon kick in 7th grade. That's brilliant. I said that a few times, or no, more than a few times. RJCJ Rock. The only power metal I like is the USPM stuff like Omen, Manila Road, and Jagdpanzer. I'm not familiar with those types of bands because it's just the style of music that didn't attach me all that much. Gothic Gamer, sorry, go back. Be Mindful and Wise at Blackwater Rust. Thanks. Still Life is the best Opeth album. Gothic Gamer 666 now. Did you like GTA 4 LCHC radio station? I used to play a bit of GTA 4, and some of the choices of music that they did select, they're pretty cool. Great choices. Aiden, Ragnarok, super obscure, underground, old school, Norwegian black metal from Sarpsborg, Norway. Disaster, super obscure, underground, German old school black and thrash metal. And I've just looked at your comment. I know Obscura, but not one of those bands that I would be personally be buying. That I respect the sound of the band, not one of those other bands that did, you know, like made me go like in awe per se. Shizazel at Gothic Gamer. Oh, that was so good. That had so many good songs and bands out there. Be Mindful and Wise, are you a fan of Linkin Park? I used to quite dig Linkin Park, but they did lost me after the era of Minutes to Midnight. And I know they were a very important nu metal band, especially on those two albums, Hybrid Theory and Meteora. But I did like Linkin Park. Not one of the bands that I have always been a big fan of. Although Bennington's been one of the best vocalists into the modern generation of vocalists. Sedition Through Scorns, I've been diving into Devin Townsend heavily, and I regret myself not listening to more of his solo project. But what I'm hearing, based on his style and approach, I'm in awe. I will be buying his stuff ASAP. Which albums did you hear so far, Jake? Because speaking of Devin Townsend, I am going to be doing a listening and reacting, as well as an album review on Lightwork. Hang on a minute. RJCJ Rock, MFKR is the only Slipknot album I really listen to anymore. That's no problem, but it's more of a demo. I really am quite a bit of a fan of the Mate Feed Kill Repeat era. Blackwater Rust, Voivod is really fun. It's weird, dissonant, proggy thrash metal, except for the first 3 albums and some of the middle era stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. I have heard that most Voivod fans say the middle stuff or earlier stuff is like the best stuff of Voivod. And I do see them at HMV quite a lot in the metal section in the shelves. So I need to check out Voivod's music properly. Blackwater Rust, when it comes to black metal, still don't think it gets much better than Dissection. That's another band that I am familiar of with the band name. But for me, as a metal fan, I like some black metal. I don't like all of it. But I'm more of a person that likes to hear black metal with which type of band that I think are like the favoritism, most picked ones for me. Obviously, like with early Satyricon to Dark Throne, and a bit of Burzum here and there. But I really like Caladan Brood, by the way. Caladan Brood are another great example in that style of black metal. Very atmospheric. And I will say, with some Alcest and Death Heaven as well. I don't care what people say about Death Heaven. They are a brilliant band, especially with their black metal, gazy type of tradition. These reviews, how's it going? I may have seen you before through a previous live stream, but welcome on in. Aiden, Burning Witches is great, as well as Synergy, Iced Earth, Sabotage, Hammerfall, Manila Road. These reviews, which Zappa album is harder to listen to for a new fan, Weasels or We're Only In It For The Money? The first Zappa album that I've heard and bought was We're Only In It For The Money. That was the one that got me into Zappa. But I think Weasels Rip My Flesh is harder. But let's be frank here. Ha! Let's be frank here. Can't believe I said that. Aren't all Mothers of Invention albums, especially in the classic early lineup, that uncompromising and challenging for a lot of people? It took me some time to get into them. But I do love the Mothers of Invention. And Zappa's been one of my favourite musicians of all time. But We're Only In It For The Money is more random, but it has some more like a darker message, especially in the lyrics, and more melody. Excuse me. Hey man, have you listened to any Agalloch? I loved Agalloch. I was very ashamed that they decide to be parted ways, because they're one of my favourite bands, and The Mantle is one of my favourites of all time. I really did love quite a lot of Agalloch. Empath, as of now, Jake. I was pleasantly surprised on how dynamic and experimental his sound truly came to be, and I love his vocals. His songwriting and the soundscapes are just like wine, it aged greatly. That is possibly the most progressive album Devin Townsend has put out. But most Devin Townsend fans, Jake, select Ocean Machine as their favourites, or Teria. Listen to those two albums, Accelerated Evolution, and even on some of the albums with the Devin Townsend project, Epic Cloud, with the re-recorded track of Kingdom. It's a very happy album, by the way. But one of my favourites, like Ocean Machine, Teria, is Infinity. Infinity is brilliant. And Gene Hoglan plays drums on Infinity, I believe, as well. And also on Teria too. But his discography is in a very huge variety of musical expression. Aiden, what do you think of the New Zealand Ardor album? I have seen that it came out, but I've not really discovered the group at the moment. I had first heard of the name after watching Free to Be Who I Be's album review on their last album. My favourite black metal band is Bathory. They are another cool band. RJCJ Rock. Shizazzle, Immortals at the Heart of Winter is probably my favourite black metal album. My favourite black metal band, though, I have no clue. Gothic Gamer 666, I'm mainly into death metal, extreme metal, new metal and heavy. Cool choices there, Gothic Gamer. Blackwater Rust, Caladan Brood is epic. If you have not heard of Echoes of Battle, one of the best atmospheric black metal albums from the last decade. Alcest is amazing. Yes, they are indeed amazing. These reviews, what are your thoughts on Negative Approach? I don't know about that band whatsoever, these reviews. I saw them open up for the Circle Jerks last night. I have heard of Circle Jerks. I have heard of Circle Jerks that Keith Morris, former Black Flag, and also Off, vocalist, is in the band. It's always nice to hear from you too. Thank you very much, these reviews. Off are a band that I did come back to. Brilliant hardcore punk bands. If you haven't heard of Off, it's just Off, exclamation point. You need to check them out. And the drummer Mario is in a band called Earthless, a psychedelic jamming band. I need to get their new album that just came out. Stephen McDonald, bass player, very good bass player, and I did not know that he did work with Tenacious D, especially on the first two albums. That was before he was in Off. And also Dimitri Coates. Dimitri Coates in separate bands as well. And also Battalion of Saints is another band that Mario is a part of. RJCJ Rock. Atmospheric black metal is not my thing. I like the first wave stuff. No problem there. Blackwater Rust, Alcest is one of my all-time favourite bands. Good to know. Are you a fan of the Bee Gees? At least they are better than ABBA. I really do like some Bee Gees. But please don't get me started on ABBA. As very acclaimed and beloved, a lot of people do give the acclaim for a group like ABBA that they do deserve, but I don't want to hear ABBA. Hey man, do you draw at all? I used to draw. I used to be quite addictive to just drawing random stuff. Around the time that I was getting into metal music. Aiden at RJCJ Rock's comment. My favourite black metal band is Immortal, then early Venom, early Celtic Frost, Marduk, Cradle of Filth. Cradle of Filth, I think, are more symphonic black metal type of bands, although they are more categorized as extreme metal. But I do think they do have a bit of that black metal influence. Early Dimmu Borgir, Watain, Archigoat, Enslaved, Blasphemy, Belphegor, Campfire, Take, RJCJ Rock at Aiden. Those are cool bands. Blackwater Rust, yeah, Agalok breaking up really hurts. It did hit me a bit because I thought that was just terrible news. Shizazzle again, this might be controversial, but I like John Scralls, but I've always thought his cleans were weak. No worries with that comment at that opinion there, Shizazzle. Be mindful and wise, Agalok's breakup did hurt, but at least they released 5 amazing albums. That is true. I did review The Serpent of the Sophia when that was released. Shizazzle, I mentioned this on the Twitch live stream about my demo, but I wanted to update to say that I have around a few songs done, or rough sketches. That is awesome. Chat, please wish Shizazzle the very best for his art. I know that you have addressed your work about that from my very first stream on Twitch, Shazazle, and that's awesome to hear. Blackwater Rust, the mantle and ashes against the grain are so magical. They really were and still amazingly are. Aiden, the worst black metal bands, Death Heaven, they're not black metal. They are more, they are like, they do have black metal, but they have a bit of a gaze kind of thing. Like the genre as they're first claimed as black gaze. Liturgy, basically the black metal mixed with the Pink Floyd and the Cure, what the fuck. It's okay to have a metal perspective, but to have a variety and a combination. They can do whatever they want. And more balls and props to the band for releasing Infinite Granite. And I don't give a shit, but Infinite Granite was one of my top 5 albums of the year from 21, and sorry, but nobody can change my opinion on that, because I am a fan of shoegaze, and I think that Infinite Granite is a beautiful album. Be Mindful and Wise at Aiden, I agree with you on Liturgy. The band is boring and I can't stand Hunter's Voice. Disagree on Death Heaven though. That's fair enough. I'm showing this comment from Aiden because YouTube held this for review. What do you think of Anal Nathrak? They're from Birmingham, by the way, which I did not know about. A black metal band mixed with industrial metal, death metal, blackened death metal, and grindcore. I have Anal Nathrak's compilation album, Total Fucking Necro. I actually do like the sound of those guys. And they are a pretty unique band in that brutal, and I say unique way of making that type of metal on black vinyl. That's awesome. These reviews, what other Miles Davis albums would you recommend if I wanted something more like Bitches Brew, Live Evil, and Miles in the Sky? I recommend In a Silent Way, and I think that On the Corner is another great one, although it's pretty difficult for some people. People hated that album when it came out, and it was the most disliked album of jazz history at that time. That is a fact. But now it has been regarded as, for some Davis fans, as the best Miles Davis jazz fusion record. Be Mindful and Wise, add these reviews. In a Silent Way is one Miles Davis album, excuse me, that would be similar to those. Yeah, Miles in the Sky was arguably the first jazz fusion-esque sounding album. Although I am a big fan of Files de Kilimanjaro, the album before In a Silent Way. Gothic Gamer 666, I've drawn a Disney princess Rapunzel playing a behemoth guitar. That is very cool there. For my girlfriend to make her smile. Cool idea there, Gothic Gamer. Zach D Productions! What is up, Zach? Guys, go and subscribe to Zach D Productions. He's been very active for making videos lately. Give that guy a lot of love. And we need to do another collaborative video there, mate. Hope you are well where you're at, by the way. Aiden, Alcest started as legit corpse-painted satanic black metal. I think that they have that type of atmospheric black gaze post-metalish type of scenario. In 2001, with the debut first album, when they were underground corpse-painted black metal, they were not corpse-painted. I don't see any images of them with that type of look. So I don't think Alcest are that big of an example for the corpse paint type of category for the genre. And I really like Alcest. French band. Yes, they are. They are a very good band. Wish you the best at Shazazzle from Blackwater Rust. Yes, that's great to look at that. These reviews, have you heard of Deep Wound? I really love how raw and fast their sound is. I do apologise that I'm saying this multiple times, but I've not heard some bands that you know, guys, that I don't know about. Deep Wound. What genre are they, these reviews? Shazazzle at Blackwater Rust, thanks, man, means a lot. See, that's what I love. I wish Shazazzle the best, and as you should as well, chat, for dedicating new musicians. RJCJ Rock at Zach D Productions. Yo, Zach, I love your channel. Hey, thanks, RJ, from Zach. Excuse me. Aiden, what do you have on vinyl currently? I will not say in the stream because I'm going to be doing an update video on Monday, which will be the last day of February. But let's just say it's on metal, and most of the records I've been buying are from one band, as I've mentioned earlier. I've mentioned the band earlier, but I will not say the band that I've been buying the most records from. So that'll have to wait. Be mindful and wise. Are you a fan of Surith Ungol? Very, very bad pronunciations there. I'm sorry. They were hugely influential to doom metal. I do like some doom metal. I'll have to dig that. My demo will probably turn into a bridge between death metal and melodic death metal. You can make whatever you like, Shazazzle, and you can have the absolute big optimism to make something of what makes you happy to release and write. Thank you for the shout out, man. No worries, Zach. I agree, another collab will be sweet. I'm doing fine. Hopefully all is well with you too. Yes, it has been. It has been very positive for me, mentally, productively, and with a lot of work going on outside of YouTube, because this is not my job. I've said this before, but YouTube is not my job. Me as a musician is my job. RJCJ Rock at Zacty Productions. Did you check out Unleash the Beast? Not yet, RJ. I plan to. Yeah, that's the Saxon album that RJ requested me to review at that time. Aiden, is Miles Davis country rock, blues rock like Johnny Cash? No, Aiden. Miles Davis was a jazz fusion musician. So that was way off, no offense. But since you've mentioned Johnny Cash, I do love some Johnny. Midnight Social, welcome on into the stream. Check out Hell Ripper. I'll have to look at that. RJCJ Rock at Zach, thanks, it fucking rips. Aiden, Hell Ripper is the Scottish Disaster. Blackwater Rust, I like melodic death metal. That's very cool. RJCJ Rock at Aiden, more like the Scottish Bathory. Hang on a minute. No, seriously, check out early Alcest. Their first demo in 2001. They were actually proper black metal. Inside the tape inlay, they were wearing corpse paint. Oh, okay, I'll have to dig into that. But the way I see it, I mean, with the latest stuff, obviously, they don't wear that type of makeup. I'll have to look at that one, though. Blackwater Rust, what are your thoughts on Edge of Sanity? Intestine bolism. You see, I may have seen that question before about Edge of Sanity. I still have not discovered them, and I do apologise, Blackwater, but I will do it for you. Next comment. Be mindful and wise at Blackwater Rust. Intestine Molism is very underrated. All three of their albums are incredible. Thank you, man. You're welcome, Shazazul, as always. Zach D Productions. YouTube is not my job either. Nice to hear. Doing music, oh, excuse me, is your career. If that's your passion, keep going with it. I want to be a big budget filmmaker. Yes, I've seen your posts sometimes on Facebook. You've been making stuff involving that type of category for entertainment. And if you like that type of stuff, guys, do check out Zach's content of filmmaking. Blackwater at Being Mindful and Wise. Facts. Intestine Molism is one of my favourite death metal bands. Gothic Gamer, we've taken care of ourselves due to the Eunice storm, and it's so shocking to see what happened to the London Arena where Slipknot performed in 2002, which is called Disaster Pieces. Yes, the damage of the London Arena roof, the wind speed was 122 miles per hour, and it's fucking mental. Thankfully, Storm Franklin is not as aggressive as Eunice was, but I hope you've been staying safe despite that big, disastrous, maddening wind power. Tomorrow, by the way, guys, this just popped up. Tomorrow, Pantera's vulgar display of power will be celebrating its 30th anniversary. That's fucking mental. I did remember when it turned 20. I was a student for learning music performance, and to now think that it's 30. Shit. Yep, just put out a film last January. I'll have to check it out, Zach. Blackwater Rust, Edge of Sanity is fantastic. Purgatory, Afterglow, and Crimson are pretty big recommendations. Great melodic progressive death metal. I'll have to listen to those then. Blackwater Rust. RJCJ Rock. I do drums and vocals for my band. I also write the lyrics. Brilliant. That is a big gift that you do have. RJCJ Rock at Ryan. Ball thrower / death, in my opinion. That's very fair, because they are different yet distinctive and as influential bands for each other. So, I mean, Death's discography is near perfection, but Ball Throwers, excuse me, is very good. Be Mindful and Wise at Blackwater Rust. Again, onto Edge of Sanity. Blackwater Rust, Edge of Sanity is incredible, and those albums are my favourites. Ryan, my favourite death metal band is Death. Chuck Schuldiner, is a great musician. Favourite album from them is Human. Human is maybe the best production besides Symbolic, but my favourite is always The Sound of Perseverance. Besides Symbolic, I mean, but aren't all of their albums great? Be Mindful, Pantera's vulgar display of power is my favourite album of theirs. Same here. Hard to believe it's turning 30 tomorrow. I know. Please do Alcest demo. Is amazing. Very much like Stormblast by Dimmu Borgir with early Satyricon. I'll have to do that. I'll have to check out their demo. But my favourite Alcest album is their second album. I absolutely do love it. To me, that's one of my favourite albums of the last decade. Ryan, cool choices. RJCJ Rock. RJ said thanks. Shizazel, yeah, it's weird to think albums from the 80s are turning 40, or albums from the 70s are now turning 50 years old. It's just mental to really think about the absolute nostalgia and some piece of music history. Zach D Productions, Death, Morbid Angel, and Obituary are my favourite death metal bands. I mean, I am a fan of Death and Morbid Angel. I like some Obituary too. Be Mindful and Wise with Zach D Productions, very good choices, Zach. RJ, Morbid Angel is great. I have a few Morbid on CD. But I will never buy Illud Divino Insanus. Morbid Angel. Zach D Productions Human was my first death album. Symbolic is probably my favourite nowadays. And that is always no word of a lie that most fans will always say that album is their best album besides The Sound of Perseverance. Aiden at Be Mindful and Wise. My favourite Pantera albums: Metal Magic, Projects in the Jungle, I Am the Night, Power Metal, Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, Far Beyond Driven. Yes, I think that the power metal stuff I haven't heard of all the way through. You've missed out the Great Southern Trendkill, because I think the Great Southern Trendkill is an album that I prefer over Cowboys from Hell. Shizazel, Death's worst album is better than band's best. That can be true for an opinion, because they have not made a bad album. Not even Mastodon, for me, at least. Not even Napalm. Or Black Sabbath, to be well. Many people say Forbidden is the worst album, but Rammstein never made a bad album. I did say Black Sabbath because, in my opinion, I don't think there's a bad Black Sabbath album. I did say my views on Forbidden. I still defend that album. RJ, CJ Rock at Zach D Productions. Check out Mortician if you like classic death metal. Ryan, Vulgar Display of Power, love it. Pantera is the greatest metal band ever. That's a pretty big statement of an opinion, but I accept it, Ryan. Oh yeah, as you've just mentioned, Great Southern Trendkill, Aiden. RJ at Shizazel, The Sound of Perseverance is the worst in my opinion. Maybe it's just the vocals. Oh, I could be wrong. Shizazel and RJ, fair enough. It's personally it's near perfect, but respect, man. Aiden, best death album is Spiritual Healing. That is my least favourite in their discography. It's underrated for many fans. I can see why, but I just think the earlier albums and later stuff I prefer more. Blackwater Rust, Covenant, and Altars are great. Altars of Madness, one of the best debuts in the genre. Be Mindful and Wise, when it comes to Morbid Angel, I have Altars of Madness and Covenant on CD. I want to get Blessed Are the Sick next. Blessed Are the Sick is very good as well. Covenant, another really good album. Sorry, I have a bit of an itch. RJ at Shizazel, I respect your opinion, by the way. What is your favourite death album? At Shizazel, to RJ, The Sound of Perseverance for me, personally my least favourite might be Individual Thought Patterns. But that's up for change though. I think Individual is very good. And I think that the production is brilliant too. I mean, it's the first with Gene Hoglan on the drums. But Gene's drumming on Symbolic is one of his best ever drumming recordings he's ever done. Zach D, Master of Reality is my favourite Sabbath album. I like almost everything though. Jumbling up words. Master of Reality is a very good Sabbath album, but my favourite is Sabotage. I think it'll always be Sabotage. RJ at Shizazzle, my favourite Death album is Scream Bloody Gore. I also love Leprosy. I don't like anything after those two. That's fair enough, RJ. Zach D. Oh man, Individual Thought Patterns is probably my second favourite from Death. Very, very sweet pick there. Aiden, my favourite death metal band will always be Morbid Angel, early Morbid Angel, as well as Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Necrophagia, Malevolent Creation, Unleashed, Dismember, Cryptopsy, Nile, Massacre. Did you mean Necrophagist? Unless that's a different band. Shizazzle, yeah, Spiritual Healing has some weird grooves that are quite unique. Songs like Altering the Future and Living Monstrosity kind of hit that in some areas. It's just that Spiritual Healing is my least favourite album because it's my least played. There's no bad song on the album, but I think one of the reasons also is the sound of the production. Shizazzle at RJ, fair enough on that, man. Gothic Gamer, Death albums are so rare to find. In terms of original pressings, yeah, they are. Thankfully, I've bought all of their albums on the remasters, but Symbolic is one of the early pressings on CD that I have. Most of them are remasters from Relapse Records. Ryan, Zach D. Paranoid is my favourite Sabbath album. Love Iron Man and Hand of Doom. I will say this. As Black Sabbath are my favourite heavy metal band of all time, I'm getting really sick and tired of Iron Man. I mean, Paranoid to a certain extent, yeah, but it is still catchy. Iron Man, I'm sorry, but that track is getting so bloated with overpopularity, and you know, as Paranoid is so overrated, Iron Man is, to me, one of those songs that I personally don't think is one of the strongest tracks on Paranoid, and not one of the top favourite Sabbath songs of all time. For me, as a big, massive Black Sabbath fan, I'm just tired of hearing some of the obvious stuff. I mean, Sabbath have made strong tracks, a lot of classic songs, but when it comes to played out songs, especially like The Trooper from Iron Maiden, I get so bored of hearing them multiple times now. It's like they're just burnt out. Shizazzle, I actually quite like the Forbidden album from Sabbath. Yes, I think Forbidden is very average still, but it is my least favourite Sabbath album. I have heard worse albums. RJ at Shizazzle, thanks. Hang on a minute, guys. I need to have a refill. I will be back in a few seconds, but I'm going to take like a few seconds intermission for you guys, and I will be right back. Right, I'm back. Just had to refill some glass of water. So let's see how this still goes. There we go. Just checking the audio playing on the playback on my mobile. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, okay. We're on to Black Sabbath this time. Blackwater Rust. It's between Mob Rules Volume 4, Heaven and Hell, and Master of Reality for my favourite from Sabbath. That's the thing. Black Sabbath's discography just being packed full of classics. Excuse me. But my second favourite Sabbath album is Heaven and Hell, and I would pick Volume 4 as my third favourite Sabbath album. RJ at Zach. My favourite is Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That's a very good one. Shizazzle, Cryptopsy, I've always found to be kind of They're one of my favourite technical death metal bands. The legendary Canadian metal bands. But fair enough. Be Mindful and Wise. I'm glad I own all Death albums on CD. It's so... doesn't say so. It's hard to choose a favourite. I do get the bug on that type of feeling there. Be Mindful and Wise. Again, Master of Reality is my favourite from Black Sabbath. The very early beginnings of pioneering that stoner metal genre. Shizazzle at Be Mindful. Yeah, same. I got them all. RJ at Shizazzle. Devourment is better than Cryptopsy. Devourments are very good. Good one there, RJ. Zach, I don't know if I have a least favourite Death album. All of them are great. Shizazzle, I actually quite like the production on Spiritual Healing. I think that start of production is incredibly raw sounding, and while albums like Leprosy is like very, very different, but still at a separate tone of that raw sound, especially like the sound of the drums. Like sometimes you hear some songs with that, I guess, that boxy type of snare, and then on some songs you hear a different attack type of snare. But I like the production on Spiritual Healing, but not as much as the other ones. Zach D, unpopular opinion though, Leprosy might be one of my least favourites, so no worries there. Aiden, early Cryptopsy is amazing. Blasphemy Made Flesh, that's a very strong debut. Non So Vile is my favourite Cryptopsy album. Be Mindful and Wise, Whisper Supremacy, very underrated, and I think that's one of my favourites. And then You'll Beg, Once Was Not the Unspoken King, so 1994 to 2007 for me. I think the self-titled album from 2012 was very good. I do not like the Unspoken King at all very much. And speaking of Cryptopsy, I did not at all whatsoever come back to that band ever since that I did a review on Whisper Supremacy, and that's been 5 years since that discography was incomplete. 5 or 6 years. So I need to dive back into that fucking band again. Things I do for myself. Incomplete discographies. Zach D Productions, yeah, Iron Man is overplayed. Shizazzle at RJ, I haven't actually listened to Devourment. I will probably check them out at one point though. I remember the album Conceived in Sewage from Devourment. Listen to those vocals, and the album is brilliant by itself as well. RJ at Shizazzle, they are insane. Brutal as fuck. Zach D, that's kind of how I am with Enter Sandman. Thank you. Enter Sandman is another one. Just not to the same extent. Enter Sandman, again, overplayed Metallica tune. Ryan, it's also the exact same thing for Sweet Child of Mine. Thank you, Ryan. Sweet Child of Mine. Fuck that song. It's one of those songs that I do not want to hear all the time, ever again. I can't stand that fucking song. Sorry for that swearing, but I hate it. Shizazzle, yeah, Enter Sandman I can do without after hearing the song isn't that bad. It's just the fact that it's so popular. It's not that it's just so popular, but I just think that the reason why I say the same thing about Enter Sandman is because that, yeah, it is a catchy track, but I never really see this song as one of the best, like, top 10 ever Metallica songs, because I think there are stronger songs. And yes, it was incredibly successful, especially in the Black Album, in Acclaim, but, you know, I think Enter Sandman is, I mean, people will say that the same thing about Master of Puppets even, but I think Enter Sandman is the most overrated Metallica song. Aiden, Necrophagia, okay. Research them. Amazing underground, once great old school death metal band with horror movie themes. Founding member and vocalist Killjoy, aka Frank Pucci, tragically passed away. That sounds pretty cool. Zach D, right? Lol. Shizazzle, Necrophagia is probably the first death metal band. I can't really comment on that, but I guess I'll have to accept that comment. Gothic Gamer, do you like Belphegor? I have heard of Belphegor. They sound pretty cool. Aiden, whilst on tour, collapsed backstage while touring with Venom now. Actual band, but then Venom tribute band Venom Inc. from horrific heart attack. That's what you're trying to say. Collapsed backstage while touring with Venom. Okay. Oh, that's pretty fucked up. Sorry for that bit of silence. I was trying to understand what that comment was saying to me. Shizazzle, Paranoid and Dehumanizer are probably some of my favourite Sabbath albums. Demanufacture. Ah! Fuck's sake. Sorry about that. Dehumanizer is very underrated. That's what I meant to say. And I really, really like Dehumanizer because I think that is one of my favourite Sabbath albums. And yeah, Paranoid is another favourite for me. Zach D, Dehumanizer is underrated. Probably the heaviest album. I mean, there are some heavy moments on there, but then there's the heavy stuff of Volume 4 and Master of Reality. And I think some stuff on Sabotage is heavy. Sorry about that, Facebook notifications. By the way, we are over 2 hours, so I'm going to continue on. Just as a treat for you guys, because of your amazing dedication and support, I'm going to go on quite a bit longer this time. But yeah, I think some of the earlier sounds of Sabbath's albums before Dehumanizer are at some of their heaviest. Aiden, adds Gothic Gamer, I love Belphegor. I have the 2-disc reissue of Pest Apocalypse 6 and Bondage Goat Zombie 2006 and 2008 box set and 2016 Nuclear Blast record reissue. Zach D, are you into the band Overkill at all? Kind of an underrated thrash band. I have heard of Overkill. Not one of my favourites. I personally would prefer bands like with Creator, Havoc, Evil, those types of bands. RJ, I love The Trooper, but I really don't like Iron Man. I think The Trooper is the most overrated Maiden song ever. To be honest with you, when I listen to Peace of Mind, which is a very good album, but sometimes I just can't stand listening to The Trooper, especially when I hear it on the radio. Shizazzle, thank you again. Bohemian Rhapsody. I've always found it to be okay. Queen are a great band. Still, the rock side, though, to me is the best Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody, overplayed to shit. It's still a great song, but come on, it's not the best Queen song ever written. It's not one of, to me, the top greatest songs of all time. Killer Queen is my favourite. Brighton Rock, to me, works so much better than Bohemian Rhapsody for replay value. Yeah, there are so many great rocking Queen songs. RJCJ Rock at Shizazzle, do you like Witchfinder General? Shizazzle at RJ, I've heard their name before, but haven't actually jammed them. Any albums to recommend? Okay, RJ to Shizazzle, Death Penalty is great. Shizazzle, okay, thanks, man. Gothic Gamer, Belphegor, Necrodaemon, Terror Satan song is really good because the gore blood from the vampire's tongue. So I'll have to discover Belphegor a bit deeper. Zach D, your streams are cool. I don't mind you. Keep it going. Yeah, so Zach, you may have not seen these before, but for some viewers, you may have used to see this banner before. This is what I'll be using as well, hopefully for a Hangout chill stream on Twitch. But Twitch name is the same as my username on YouTube. That's my Instagram. For those that that want to check out my other stuff of content. And even on that transition, when I had to refill my glass, that's what I would use for Twitch too. RJ at Shizazzle, no prob. By the way, the album cover is pretty neat. Lol. Shizazzle at RJ. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just looked it up. I like it. Zach D, Run to the Hills, Number of the Beast, and The Trooper are Iron Maiden's most overrated songs. I can deal with The Number of the Beast. That's a brilliant, brilliant song. But I do agree with Run to the Hills, though. Shizazzle, Peace of Mind to me, ooh, more comments, is one of the best metal albums ever written. I think that Peace of Mind is a very good album, but it's not one of the classic Maiden albums, in my opinion. So, I have said this before, and I'll say it again, that I could maybe do a re-ranking of Iron Maiden's discography, like what I did with Black Sabbath. Ugh. Excuse me. So, yeah. Aiden, I might leave soon. Been awesome on here with you. Cheers, Aiden. I do appreciate it. RJ, Stone Cold Crazy is the best Queen song. That's very good. Very good choice. Excuse me. Zach D. Oh, okay, nice. I actually don't have Twitch. Already am following you on Instagram. Yeah, I do see your username on Instagram. But for those that wants to know me on Twitch, it's basically like this for Hangouts, but for playing music and for me playing guitar to the tracks that I play, I will go to Twitch. If you want to check out what I've been posting so far on the website and to see my actual role, then go for it. by all means. Shizazel, I don't really think I'm a fan of any big hit Queen songs. We Will Rock You, to me, is snooze. Maybe you're just not a fan of Queen at all, Shizazel. See you later. Cheers for popping in, Aiden. Glad you are enjoying the videos still and for the streams. Zach D, Peace of Mind is probably my 5th favourite Maiden album. Peace of Mind is maybe still in my top 10 Maiden albums. We could collab for a re-ranking of Iron Maiden. That's not bad. That's a pretty cool idea, actually. Have you done your ranking? No, don't answer. I do remember. I do remember that you did an old video of ranking the albums. RJ, Fear of the Dark is your favourite Maiden album. That is a bold move of a choice. Fear of the Dark is, to me, an above-average album. Not one of my top favourites from Maiden. But I will say, controversy still popping in, that my favourite Maiden album is The X Factor. I still love this album. And I'm just one of those people that really thinks it's very underrated and one of the most criminally overlooked albums in metal. Okay, I see a bit of the playback now. I'm a bit lagging, so I apologise. Shizazel, oh, okay. Yeah, a re-ranking might be cool. My tastes on Maiden albums are very different from a lot of others. That's no problem at all, Shizazel. Zach D, that is an interesting choice, RJ. Not something you see every day. Good album, though. Yeah, it is a good album. Besides some songs that I don't like. Some that are very average to me. Shizazel at RJ, that's an interesting take. I personally really like that album as well. RJ at Zach, thanks. RJ at Shizazel, it's super underrated. Zach D, my ranking is probably old now. And that was before Senjutsu came out. Yes, it was. I did a ranking of Maiden before that album came out as well. Shizazel at RJ, Judas Be My Guide is sick. Weekend Warrior to me is quite goofy, but I still really like it. Weekend Warrior is, to me, one of the worst Maiden songs. But Judas Be My Guide is a very good song. But as obvious as it is, Fear of the Dark is one of my top 5 Maiden songs. Excuse me. Shizazel at... no, sorry, I read that. Shizazel, the Blaze era is really good. I listened to those 2 albums a lot when I was younger. Awesome decision there, because the Blaze Bayley era, I think, is still overhated. I stand by my opinions on those albums. RJCJ Rock at Zach, Virtual 11 is better than the X Factor in my opinion. That's cool. Fine by me. Zach, the X Factor might be my favourite of their 90s work. RJ at Zach, I prefer Fear of the Dark and No Prayer. No Prayer for me, if I will have to re-rank, that will just always be my least favourite Maiden album. Spoiler alert for those that don't know my first ranking of Maiden's discography. Gothic Gamer, I'm waiting for the new Bloodbath album. Yeah, Bloodbath are a pretty good band. Zach, same RJ. Shizazel, No Prayer for the Dying was at one point my favourite Maiden record. And here's a fact. It was the last ever studio album to be recorded with the usage of the Rolling Stones' mobile studio. You didn't get that fact until now. That's something I did not know about until not too long ago. So, yeah, No Prayer being my least favourite Maiden album. But it's an album that has moments, but there are just some awful stuff on that record. Angel, a newcomer to the stream. Thank you very much for popping in for the first time. What would you pick as some of your favourite doom metal albums? I don't have a lot of doom metal in the collection, but for doom, I mean, I love stuff from Earth 2, some Boris albums like Atlas Feedbacker and Amplifier Worship, Flood, Dope Smoker by Sleep. But I'm very curious to see what your favourites are. Sedition, apologies if I haven't said much. I'm currently prioritising my entire CD and vinyl collection. Took most of my time, but I'm still hanging. No worries, you can lurk. You can do your thing while you're listening. Also, what about Agalloch album rank? That sounds cool. I'll have to revisit their albums because it's been an awfully long time since I did listen back to those albums. RJ CJ Rock, I don't like. You don't like Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and the X Factor. Fair enough on the X Factor, but Seventh Son, that is a shocker. Maybe it's because that prog metal element that you don't like about it. If that's the case, then that is fair enough. But what a comment. Thankfully, Maiden fans here are not going to bash your comments, because I know some Maiden fans are pretty toxic. So you are safe here, RJ. Zach D, my favourite Maiden album has always been a tie between Power Slave and Seventh Son. Those two albums are still one of my top 5 Maiden albums. They're both gems. Shizazel at RJ. Ooh, that's a hot take on Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. That's personally one of my favourite Maiden records. RJ, Master of Reality and Death Penalty are the best doom metal albums in my opinion. Master of Reality is more stoner, but there are some doomy parts. I mean, some stuff on Volume 4 is pretty doomy. But you're not far off there, RJ. Especially riffs from like Sweet Leaf and Children and, you know, Into the Void. Stuff like that. RJ, I like the Evil That Men Do on that album though. That's very, very good of a song. It's very catchy. I still think that chorus is one of the most memorable songs. Held for review. Gothic Gamer, I'll add that. Leeds Festival is full of idiots around here with annoying songs playing which were not metal. It depends on what their type of music that they like. I mean, we are an open community, Gothic Gamer. We can like other genres, not just metal. But if people piss you off because of your taste, then I think you've come to the right place here, because we are here for one another. Sedition, I always liked Somewhere in Time. That's a very good Maiden album. That album has some cool prog signatures, and I'm a big fan of conceptual records. So that one to me, I just love the diversity and tracks they've written. Some Maiden fans say Somewhere in Time is the best Maiden album. I mean, they're not far off. but I really like quite a lot of Somewhere in Time. It's one of my favourites. Zach D, Somewhere in Time would be a number 3 pick for me. Fuck off, message encoding overload. I don't know how to turn down video settings or use a faster encoding preset. I'm not doing that. Guys, if it's lagging, I'm sorry, but let me know if it's good and not lagging. Shazazol, The Clairvoyant is one of my favourite songs of Seventh Son. That's a very good song as well. The title track is my favourite song on the record. RJ, unpopular opinion, Judas Be My Guide is the best Maiden tune. No worries there, because Judas is a very catchy single. I like that one a lot. I love Somewhere in Time from RJ. Yeah, Somewhere in Time is original and very distinctive. It's quite a unique Maiden album. Zach D Productions. When it comes to Maiden's most epic sounding albums, those are probably Dance of Death and the 2 newest ones. I do agree to a certain extent. Shazazzle, Somewhere in Time for me. Somewhere in Time for me would be near the bottom. Near the bottom. Shazazzle. You would put the lesser known or loved Maiden albums above Somewhere in Time. The audio is fine and isn't lagging, just the visuals here and there, but not very often the visuals lag a bit. Okay, that's cool. RJ, Painkiller or Jugulator? Painkiller, hands down. Painkiller is the ultimate Judas Priest album, in my opinion. Stop fucking lagging. Sorry for the language. Sedition, what were your thoughts on the latest Creator single? I have not heard it yet, Jake. I want to wait until the new album is out. I mean, to follow up Phantom Antichrist. I'm looking forward to it. Because Phantom... Whoop, hang on. Because Phantom Antichrist is another one that is one of the best albums of the last decade and one of the best in modern era thrash. I know they've been around from the 80s and onwards, so I guess I would not say that they are like modern thrash metal. Shizazzle, I would put No Prayer over Somewhere in Time. That is a ballsy move there, Shizazzle. RJ, Jugulator. Fair enough. To be honest with you, I've not heard all of Judas Priest's albums yet. But I will say that I think possibly if I would be listening to all of Priest's albums, which I will, that I will maybe pick Nostradamus as the weakest Judas Priest album. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but some fans hated that album. And I have no clue what my experience would be like for that album yet. Shizazzle at Sedition. Personally, I liked it. Okay, about the new Creator single. Gothic Gamer, do you listen to music from the CD in the car? I used to, but really the CDs are just through my record player over there. Come on, come out. Yeah, through my record player. You can't. Record player, CD player. Hang on a minute, guys. It's that box of new boots in the way. Oh, Rush. Put that aside. Oh, don't fall, please. Yeah, my room's in a bit of a shitty state. Yeah, you can't see it, but behind... Hang on. Multitask it. Behind those CDs there is where my CD player is at. Next to my record player. So I have to reposition this thing. Don't fall, please. I'm going to be coming back to the comments as well, guys. So, hang on. Let's move this down. Yeah. Like I said, Shizazzle, like I said, my list is quite different. And you are not lying, actually, whatsoever there, Shizazzle. Let's move this. I shouldn't have moved this fucking webcam. Sorry about this, guys. Shizazzle, I actually really like Nostradamus. That is fair enough as well. RJCJ Rock, my favourites are Sad Wings of Destiny. That's one of my favourite Priest albums. And Jugulator. I have to listen to Jugulator. I know that Demolition's known as one of their worst albums. Sedition, Steal This Album by System of a Down is going to be 20 this year. Yes. I know that I'll be hearing all day when the anniversary comes, and I personally words read properly. And personally, it's an underrated album. I don't ever see people give much detail. Still, this album is my second favourite System of a Down album. I almost wanted to buy it on vinyl, but I keep not buying it. Because I went HMV some more, and I don't see Still This Album in stock. Because I see the self-titled album more, very frequently. Sorry guys, I may need a pee break. So, again, be right back. And I'm back. Back once again. Yeah, Still This Album is one of those other System albums that I could not stop playing constantly when I was so obsessed. That album has some of my favourite System of a Down tracks of all time. I mean, System of a Down, not made a bad album, and I know so many fans say Toxicity is their best, and it's my favourite too. But I think still this album needs to have as much of the love. Shizazzle, I've been thinking about getting a CD player because I have about 100 or around there in CDs, but no way to play them. You need to get a CD player, I think, there, Shizazzle. Gothic Gamer, you've got a nice bedroom with... Sorry, Instagram notification. With good masks and posters and curtains. Those masks over there, they're just random masks. You can't see it, but I had a red Chris Fenn mask that I did buy on eBay, and the latex on it is absolutely damaged now. It's so worn, and the zip that was made on the mask was totally lost and is never found. And I see a bit of that gas mask, black gas mask, because I thought it was very cool. Like what Sid Wilson from Slipknot used to wear. The other ones, I was like just in that phase of wearing Slipknot type of inspired masks. Well, yeah, the curtains though are just minimal to me, but I like the color. RJ, Jugulator is basically a thrash metal album, so I'll have to dig into this album much more deeper than I think, because Jugulator's known as an album that some people like or don't. Right guys, so I would like to leave the stream. I would like to end it in about 15 minutes. Because it's getting pretty late here. It is almost 9:30, and I want to leave by 10:15. As I've been talking a lot and my throat's been pretty sore. Shizazzle, I actually have a CD player, but it's like a Walkman. Okay, Walkman from my grandma, but I was looking to get one that I could play out loud. Shizazzle, personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jugulator. See, some Priest fans will be very indifferent to Jugulator, but for those who know and like Jugulator, more power to you. Fucking bit of random stuff there. Don't fall. Sorry about that. Repositioning is an arse when it comes to webcams. So, yeah. So anyways, guys, if you have anything else to say, please feel free to do so. And I hope you've been enjoying this look of a stream for the first time. I think it turned out very, very well. And you know, let's just see how these streams are going to be when I'll be using these other social media type of, not notifications, but like presentable looks, and as well as my random banner. So I think this was very, very solid, a very solid stream indeed, and I really do like to always interact, but to do my best to have the best of picture and audio quality, especially now that I'm now that I'm streaming with OBS, now that the software is updated. Shizazzle, I think my album recommendation for a review is going to be Like an Ever-Flowing Stream Dismember. Another one to the messaging on Instagram, Shizazzle, if you don't mind, because I am very bad for forgetting things. One sec. Right, there you go. So I heard some kind of firework going off. What the fuck? Anyways, Gothic Gamer, I followed you on Instagram. Thank you very much, Gothic Gamer. Hope you like the stuff that I just post. And the latest post that I did do was a selfie of me holding Venom Prison's new album Erebus on vinyl. And I'm not saying this in a boasting way. This was like my legit reaction. Last night I did post a selfie of me with Venom Prison's new album on record. I did take a random selfie of it because I know that Venom Prison and the band are very active on Instagram, and both Ben Thomas and Ash Gray, the two guitar players from Venom Prison, liked my photo. And later on, the band themselves on their official Instagram liked the photo as well. And I was just in this reaction, I was like, what the fuck? You did not need to do that. That was my reaction to that. And like I said, it's not on a boasting form of expression. I feel pretty lucky there, because I know that Venom Prison have thousands of fans, but I will say they are super dedicated. That's what I love about bands like those guys. And I seen the notifications of Lorne9101 liked my photos. A lot of times that notification noise that I'm hearing, I bet it's Gothic Gamer. So I'll be looking at my Instagram and see this guy likes my post, like my post, like my post, like my post. Oh my god. So I'll have to see which ones. Lol, I saw that post. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. So what I have planned for new videos, I'm still going to come back and do the album reactions, and I'm going to be reviewing some more albums, although I have done an album review on one album that will be posted tomorrow. I am going to be posting my review on the Pike versus the Automaton album, the solo album from Matt Pike. And I am going to be, as I've mentioned earlier on, I will be reviewing Devin Townsend's light work. I know that George Corpse Grinder Fisher released his debut solo album. There was going to be a release of Rammstein's new album, but that had to be pushed back at the moment because of manufactured paper storage error. So it's like that they're out of paper to print out the artwork and the form of the product of the album. Okay. Lorne9101, I really appreciate you liking my posts on Instagram, but I keep seeing that same notification sound over 20 times now, or more than 20 times actually. I know you are spamming with multiple likes of what I post, and you got to be careful. You got to be careful with all of that spamming. So I'm not telling you to stop it, but just be very mindful about the whole spamming thing of notifications. But I really, really, really appreciate that you like what I share. And I'm not saying that in a dick way, by the way. I love it when bands do that. Shizazzle. Yes, I do agree. I do agree with that type of mindset. That bands do care and appreciate what anybody can say about their art. You know, it's very lucky for a lot of people to get notifications from actual bands and various accounts of separate bandmates to see stuff like that, that they really do mean it. And Venom Prison is a new favourite band for me, as I got into them since a month ago after doing my album reaction to Erebos. That album has been in my head, like in terms of thinking about it, thinking about how amazing that album is. And I have bought some more new albums from this year at the moment. But I will say this, that nothing beats Venom Prison's new album at the moment. It could be a for now thing, but it's very unlikely. I won't spoil it, but you know what I would be saying. But with more new albums coming up along the way, I want to find out if there are other very strong albums that will be in my favourites. Sedition, it was fun seeing you doing a stream again. Looking forward to more content on your channel when you're able to, and hopefully with your band stuff keeps your adrenaline going. Thank you very much, Jake. It absolutely does mean a lot. Shizazzle again. It just helps enhance the interaction between the fans and the band. That's exactly what I love about bands like those guys, that they would be doing something to not only keep themselves busy, but to be very open and see the responses. I mean, Erebos has been getting rave reviews, a lot of 9 out of 10s. I mean, that's my rating for Erebos. And even Venom Prison did share the Metal Meltdown's review on Erebos, and he is a lucky bastard. So, at the end of the day, it's all fun. It's all an engagement that is super important. When you create something, and to be as awesome, not only to release something that you are very proud of, but to see your own free time and free will to look at comments, the reviews, the attention the new albums achieve, that amount of acclaim, like Erebos. That's what I think is true dedication. Sedition, as of now, I don't have a particular favourite for album in 2022, but I think as the second half of the year goes onward, I think I'll finalise the albums I love on a constant rotation. That's what I would like to do as well, Jake. Shizazzle, I think I gave it a 6 or 7 out of 10. I think you've given it, I think, you gave it a 3.5 out of 5. But I think it's a 7 out of 10. And their first Sedition, and their first album on Century Media does show that not only they release the best album of their career, but it is also amazing that their acclaim and success is paid off. Exactly. Shizazzle, there was a Needless album that came out earlier this year that I liked, along with Apocryphal's debut record. Not heard of those two at all, Shizazzle. Gothic Gamer, we will miss Joey Jordison and Paul Gray. Joey is heavenly happy to see Paul Gray again. Yes. Gothic Gamer, I will say that I did see the Knot live for the first time and only time with those two. It was in 2008. That's the only time I did get to see the classic lineup of the Knot. The second time, it was, out of all of the lineups, the second time it was through, hang on, there you go, it was through the Grey Chapter era. The first time that I did see them, it was through the All Hope Is Gone era, but the third, and to me the best time of seeing Slipknot live was on the, there you go, on the We Are Not Your Kind tour in 2020. that was the best Slipknot show they've ever did. And as much as I loved seeing the classic 9-piece lineup, the third time seeing Slipknot live was the most manic, the most amazing. I give your live stream a 20,000 out of 20,000. I appreciate that. Shizazzle, favorite decade, not only in music but in everything else? I don't think about everything else that much. In terms of just a decade. I think of the decade in a musical point. Because that's impossible to think about a decade that's my favorite in everything else. But for me, just for music, I would have to say my favorite decade is the 70s. I love the 60s as much, but I love the 70s the most. I got to love more of the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, some of the 2010s, especially on some rock and metal. Brilliant. I know there are some modern shit from the 2000s onwards, but the 70s era of music is to me the best form of music. Excuse me. So that's pretty much it. So I've got 2 minutes until I will wrap this up. So thank you very much for all of you guys to attend to the stream. Much appreciated. RJCJ Rock, Aiden, Shizazzle, Zach D Productions, Gothic Gamer, one question from Angel, and Be Mindful and Wise. And it is a very, very fun time. And these reviews, sorry, almost forgot you. But, and Ryan too. Really, really glad to see any of you guys for participating into this particular live stream and being my very first time live streaming with this new look that I will be using for a Hangout stream on Twitch. Obviously, I'd have to replace the Twitch logo with the YouTube logo. For those that don't know me on YouTube, because I know a lot of people are very, very actively common to see me on YouTube, and Pecky Peck as well. Sorry about that. Shizazzle, fair enough. I might pick 80s, but I don't know. 80s is a decade that I used to think that I was not a fan of, but the more I thought about it, been buying more albums, it was such a great decade. Still is. Gothic Gamer, take care of yourself and keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Gothic Gamer. Much appreciated. So, as always, much love to all of you. Thank you so much for keeping this channel up and going, as that I always do what I want to do. Do share the channel around, share my new segments of album reactions, new album reviews, and also keep recommending this channel to any newcomers, new subscribers for these particular things I do for the channel. So yeah, as always, look after yourselves and keep up that positive mental attitude. Shizazzle, take care, man. Love ya. Keep the positive energy flowing. Thank you very much, Shizazzle. And also, for anybody who does not know about Sedition Through Scorns' way of reviewing albums, he works on Metal Purgatory Media. Look that up online. Give Jake's reviews a lot of support, and it will mean a lot to him. So, that's a wrap. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you all in the next stream.